An off-duty policeman, Frank, was shopping with his wife on Saturday afternoon in 1996 in Liverpool city centre. They split up to go into different shops, his wife going to Dylan's bookstore and Frank going to a record shop. Frank had finished in his shop, so began to cross the road to meet his wife when a horn beeped at him. When he looked up at the van, it appeared to be a 1950s box van with Kaplin's written on it, which Frank was unfamiliar with that brand. Being startled by the horn, but perhaps not thinking anything was wrong at this point, Frank realised he was looking down at the ground and standing in the middle of the road, so he hurried to the other side. When he looked up in the direction of Dylan's bookstore, he did not see it, but instead saw an old-fashioned sign with Cripps across the front of the store, and he could see Cripps sold handbags and shoes for women. Frank was confused and began to look around, possibly thinking he had walked in the wrong direction, and although unlikely, somehow got turned around somewhere in the short journey across the road. He noticed that people around him were all dressed in 1940s fashion, and the street itself was not the same as he was familiar with. As he was realising that something was going on, he saw a young woman in her 20s who was carrying a handbag with a modern-day brand on. They smiled at each other when she was entering the Cripps store, so he followed her inside, feeling a sense of familiarity from her. As he entered the shop, in a flash, the shoes and handbags changed to books and the interior of Dylan's bookshop restored in his vision. The young woman in her 20s was still inside, so Frank approached her and asked her questions to see if she had seen what he had seen. And strangely enough, she too believed she was entering a shop called Cripps that was selling shoes and handbags. Cripps and Kaplin's, Frank would later find out, were brands that were about in 1950s. So the question is, did the Kaplin's van driver witness a man in the middle of the road acting strange? Did the people outside Kaplin's notice a man in clothing they did not recognise? We will never know, as we don't have any reports of this. Stories like Frank's are all too familiar, and the nature of time is one of the biggest mysteries in science, and we simply do not understand what time is and how it works. We know it exists because we physically witness us moving and things moving around us, but there are a lot of mysteries that remain. What about Frank's story? How do we explain this? If it was just Frank, maybe this would be due to a hoax or false claims. It could have been a vision he had. We could somehow rationally explain it away, but it's not just Frank. The internet is filled with stories of people insistently believing they had an experience of where they have travelled through time. And today we are going to tell you some of these stories. The one fact about time that seems to remain proven is what we don't know about time far outweighs what we do know about time.